During a recent interview on Newsmax, Alina Habba, Donald Trump's favorite lawyer, almost got tricked into arguing against the idea of presidential immunity, and in order to avoid being tricked, she ended up having to defend President Biden. So it's kind of an interesting situation, right? She got almost tricked into saying that presidents shouldn't have immunity, but then technically did get tricked into having to defend President Biden because she walked into a trap that I don't think the Newsmax interviewer even realized that she had set. Now, the Newsmax host was a woman by the name of Lydia Bastianik. And Lydia Bastianik asked Alina Habba this, quote, "We saw what happened with that Venezuelan illegal alien who is now accused of killing that nursing student, Laken Riley. Now he's accused of killing this beautiful young girl, 22 years old, prime of her life. Does Joe Biden have blood on his hands at this point, Alina?" Okay, so she's asking about an alleged undocumented immigrant who allegedly killed a 22-year-old. So Alina Habba then responds to, does he have blood on his hands? She says, 100%. Look, the whole thing with our borders, the whole thing with them bringing these people in that they could vote in November because they need 10 million more votes to beat Trump. And Joe Biden is more concerned with his polls, which he can't win fair and square because the man can't even walk. So he has to do this. He has to let you in. They care about one thing, and that's figuring out a way to cheat. This is the new way to cheat, lie and steal for 2024, and that's the truth. And it's frightening for me. More continues in a moment, but let me stop and digest all of the BS that Alina Habba just spewed. We need 10 million illegal immigrants, she says, to come in and vote in 2024. Much like Donald Trump does, that's something she made up in her little brain. Like her horribly terrible legal mind made this up. Or she heard somebody else probably say it from the Trump campaign. I don't think she's even clever enough to come up with a lie like this. And she just repeated it. That's not true. That's not a thing that has happened. It is not a policy. And for the record, President Biden also does not have an open borders policy here in the United States. In terms of immigration policy differences between the Trump administration and the Biden administration, virtually nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is that we have allowed more asylum seekers to come into this country. Legally. Not illegally, legally. We're actually conducting more deportations under Biden. We're apprehending more illicit drugs at the border under Biden. We're apprehending more people illegally crossing the border under Biden. So his immigration policy is actually a little more strict and a little more effective than what Donald Trump had. So if we're talking about, does he have blood on his hands from this young 22-year-old being murdered? Absolutely not. Biden did not do that because there is no Biden policy saying, let everybody come in. I know Republicans love to think that that's a thing, but it is not. You are living in a fantasy world. But it's at this point that Alina Habba somehow, some way managed to avoid walking into this trap that was then laid by Bastianik, who asked, should the family sue? I mean, could they do something? I mean, Joe Biden bears direct responsibility for allowing these illegals, for allowing cartel members and gang members into this country. First of all, again, no, he doesn't, because there is actually no policy signed by President Biden that says this. He has not endorsed a policy, and he has not prevented legislation from moving forward to shut down the border. Republicans are the ones who did that. So technically, it would be the Republicans who actively allowed people to come into the country. So just to correct your incorrect statement there, that's how it is. But can he sue? And that's when Alina Habba, shockingly enough, avoided walking into that trap, but instead had to defend President Biden when she said, you know, it's a tough question for me to answer because I'm an attorney for a former president. Presidents have immunities that need to be preserved. And I truly do believe that. And I think that presidents need to have immunity so that they can carry out their duties. And I mean, all presidents. Lawsuits and litigation, you know, unfortunately, are not always the answer. They take time. Unless you're Trump, they take time. And I think that it's more important, frankly, that we get our border secure than waste time trying to get money in litigious. Okay, well, that's a bit of a word salad. But you were caught off guard because you wanted to say, yeah, let's sue the bastard. Let's hold him accountable. But then you're like, oh, crap, if I do that, then that would mean there's no presidential immunity. Then the guy that I'm representing, oh, he's screwed. Oh, no. So your brain couldn't come up with a complete, coherent sentence. So for the record, I want you to know I wasn't stumbling through that. That's what she said and how she said it. Because she knew she was in the trap. So it's either defend Biden or say that Trump also doesn't have immunity. So either way, you technically did get trapped there. And to be honest, you really didn't do that great of a job getting out of the trap.